In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello folks, and welcome again to another episode of Bet Money Honey. My name is Patty Davidson, and I am here to continue on my saga of showing you how to bet money on sports betting. Today, we're going to talk about March Madness. There are 32 conferences that exist in the United States, and these schools, all these college schools, they belong to a conference. And if they win their conference, guess what? They get to go to the NCAA tournament and they could get the big trophy. They have all the bragging rights. Now, it is kind of interesting, but this is just a little side bit. 32 conferences, but teams do move around. Sometimes it'll be like, wow, I want to be in that conference because they have great TV time. My players are going to get more exposure and all of it. So they do move around, and so it becomes a little political. But 32 teams, they win their conference, they go in. But it's a 68 team bracket. What a bracket is, it's like, I play you, I win, I move. I play you, I win, I move. I play you, I win, I move, until we get to the very ending of all of it. So they bring in 4 teams, I don't know, they feel sorry for them or something. They give them, they get to come into the playoff, but in the end, the bracket is consisted of 64 teams. And so after the 32, they have this big Sunday deal, and they call it Selection Sunday. Selection Sunday is when they say, you know what, we're going to go by some of our criteria, and we're going to say these other teams get to come into our bracket. This is what's called March Madness because it occurs in March. Right now, it is so important for these conferences to be playing hard because, again, they win their conference, automatic bid. Automatically, they get to attend the conference. And so what we're going to talk about today, though, is how do you bet that? Because we're just going to do basics. How do you bet a college basketball game? This is our basic that we're going to talk about. So there are 3 ways to bet a game. You can bet a money line, you can bet a point spread, or you can bet totals. And that's just, if I have a game, okay, I have a game, here's my game. What is it that I would like to watch in that game, root for, whatever it is that you want to do with it? So what is it? So let's set, for an example, let's say that Illinois is playing Indiana, and they have a game going on right now. There are 3 ways that you can bet that game. You could bet the money line, the points, and the totals. And what does that mean? Okay, if I'm going to bet the money line and Illinois, and anytime they have a plus, that means that the bookmakers or whoever is making the line thinks that they're kind of an underdog and they may not win the game, and so therefore they're going to say, yeah, but we want some money on it, so go ahead and bet them. And if I bet you at plus 222, it means that for my $10 that I bet, they're going to let me win $22.20 because they think that Illinois can't win, and so they're going to give me an advantage because the book's always trying to balance its books. But if I'm on Indiana minus 278, they're going to tell me is that we think Indiana's going to win. Therefore, you're going to have to put up $27.80 just to win $10. And so this is called, again, underdog favorite, underdog favorite. But on a money line, all you have to do is win the game. That's all you have to do, just win the game. You don't have to win it by a certain amount. You don't have to do anything. You just win the game. So that's the advantage of betting a money line, except you usually have to put up a lot more money when you're betting the favorite. So then the other way you can bet it is you can say points. Okay, they're going to spot me points. Again, they think that Illinois is not as good of a team as Indiana. So they say, okay, I'm going to give you plus 6 points. What that means is that Indiana, if I were going to bet them, they have got to beat Illinois by more than 6 points. More than 6, because if they don't beat them by more than 6 points, guess what? Illinois just won the game, and you just won your bet. So that's why you have to do it. And the one way to look at it is, I've done this before, is like, let's just say, for instance, Illinois, and Indiana, and Indiana won by 90 to, let's just say 82. 82. Well, guess what? That's 8 points. So that's 8 points. So I only get to add 6 points here. So guess what? 88. Indiana just won the game. So that's what you always have to know when you're betting points, is that this +6 gets to get added to the final score of the underdog, and then you'll know who won the game. The other way to do it, and then there's another bet that you can bet. Maybe you just don't have an interest in a side. You really just can't pick it. I just don't know. But maybe these teams love to score. They love to score. They just run up and down the court all the time. Or maybe they're defensive teams and they never score. You know, their defense is great. So you can take a total, that is total points scored in the game, and you could say over 142 or under 142. And that means that at the end of the game, you're going to add up all the points that were scored, final score, and it could be over 142 or under 142. So it's just another way to bet the game. And you could also bet what they call pre-game. Pre-game, of course. Game hasn't started, it's pre-game. So I'm gonna make my decisions right now on what I wanna bet. Money line, points, totals, because it's before the game starts, pre-game. There's other little thing called halftime. If you bet a halftime bet, halftime means that, you know, we have a reset. It's like a reset. It's like either I was late or I didn't know what to bet, or I've been watching the first half and I have a feel for the game, whatever your impetus is for betting the game. At halftime, it's 0-0. Game starts out at 0-0. And so then everything that is scored or done is only in that half. It didn't make any difference what happened in the first half. So you can bet it that way too. It's just like, but it'll still be money line, points, and totals. It'll still be the same thing, but only halftime scoring. The other way is that, you know, futures also, this is the fun part of it. You know, if, you know, you can bet futures all through the season, but it's really fun if you bet them right after the season ends and they put the futures up and they say, okay, we think by our magical powers that these teams are going to be great next year. And so therefore we're going to put odds out there. And the odds are going to be like, we think this is going to be the winner of what? Tournament, because everything is based on tournament. And so they're going to say, we think that these are going to be the winners of the tournament, but they will keep them going all year long, all year, so that when you get into that 64 team bracket, you could just root for one team by doing it this way, or 2 or 3, depending on what you want to do. And how that happens is, for instance, just for, you know, an example, they say, okay, we think that Houston is going to win the whole tournament. We think they're a pretty big favorite. And so we're only going to give you +700. That means that for it could be 100 or 10. Remember, it's all about zeros. So for your +700, I could say, okay, I'm going to put my $10 on Houston. And that means that I'll win 70 if they win the whole tournament, but that's a long road. But on the other hand, I have Troy, who probably, not saying anything against Troy, but you know, it's going to be a school that probably is not as powerful. And so they're going to give you 500,000 to 1. So if you can bet, you know, if you bet your $10 on this one, you know, you're going to win a lot more money. But again, that's what makes futures fun. And what does make futures fun? Because if you've been watching basketball, or even if you haven't, what is the Cinderella theory? Cinderella teams do come along, and all of a sudden you'll have a Cinderella team, and if you would have bet futures on that Cinderella team, and what is Cinderella? Cinderella is the girl that never was supposed to be at the ball, right? She was never even expected. Nobody even thought she was coming. You know, the royalty's all there, and all of a sudden Cinderella shows up, and she wins the prince. And so that is a Cinderella team. That is what makes futures so much fun to bet, you know, especially if you have a favorite team. But basically, this is just betting a basketball game 101. Again, money line, points, totals, if you're there in the beginning, or even doing a future bet, you know, and it'll give you something to root for the whole time we are preparing for it, and when you get into the NCAA bracket, which is March Madness. So again, my name is Patty Davidson, Bet Money Honey, and I'm here to help you learn how to bet money on sports.